Hello, planet Earth.
Hi, honey.
Welcome to my YouTube channel. We're at IDK, my BFF Jill 730.
My BFF
Joe?
730.
I'm Preston L. Young, wishing you warm salutations and congratulations as always. You've made your way to the Buffyngton Post.
You are invited!
Today I'll be taking a break from the Buffyverse because it's time to do a full spoiler discussion on Avengers Infinity War. Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! And with no further ado, let's get into it. Here we go.
The time has come!
What would you do if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? Lend me your ears and I'll sing you a song. I will try not to sing out of key. Yeah. Oh baby, all I need is my buddy. I say I'm gonna get high. Somebody knows what I'm showing. Baby, said I'm gonna make it with my friend. Oh, I'm gonna keep on trying. I'm gonna keep on trying.
Alright, dude, so, I'm not really, like, a Marvel dick rider. Like, a lot of the Marvel movies I just don't really care for. I don't know how to care about them because, like, nothing matters. There really are no stakes. I'm never worried that anybody's going to die or anything like that. Like Civil War, I didn't even go to the theater to see it because it was all of these superheroes and they were on different sides of ideology and like politics and all this. But I was like, they're not gonna kill anybody, nobody's gonna actually die. Like, they give you the whole thing of like, oh no, War Machine fell out of the sky, but he's fucking fine. Like, he's around for this movie. It's like, I don't really care about the Marvel movies. I liked Iron Man. I'm one of the few people who really stands behind Iron Man 3. I thought it was really good. I fell asleep during the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie because it just felt like I was watching, oh, what do they call it? A walkthrough of a video game. It just looked like I was watching somebody else play a video game, and I'm not about that life. And everybody else was like, fucking, give me that Guardians of the Galaxy jizz, and I just wasn't here for it. I actually really did like Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I thought Age of Ultron was fine. I'm kind of a Joss apologist. I went and saw Avengers and Age of Ultron both in the theater. And so, like, while I was always planning on going to see this in the theater, I was like, meh, I don't really care about the Marvel movies. I couldn't even finish Doctor Strange. I thought it was just a snooze. Black Panther, everybody was like, oh, it's the best thing since sliced bread. And I was like, it's just more of the same. But yeah, I was excited for the Infinity War, but I wasn't really expecting anything grand about it. And I was actually telling people, I'm going to see it because it really it feels like homework. It feels like you can't be a part of the nerd discussion for the next, like, 3 months until it comes out on Blu-ray unless you go and see it. And so I was kind of going to see it just so that I wouldn't be left out of the conversation. But I'm so glad I did. I really enjoyed the movie. Like, I liked a Marvel movie. Yay!
Oh, I'm so pleased.
But yeah, I really like this movie, and like, I've started watching so many spoiler discussions of this movie, and it's basically people spending 40 minutes recapping the movie. That's not what I'm gonna do here. I'm not gonna be giving you the whole, like, plot beat for fucking beat, because that's not what a spoiler discussion is. I want to talk to you about the things that, like, I really enjoyed and that, like, made me go, fuck yeah, and some things that made me go, side-eye. So yeah, I want to start off by talking about, like, my favorite thing from this movie, and I never expected it to be my favorite thing, and that's Wanda, the motherfucking Scarlet Witch. I was here for Wanda. I was all about it. Like, I'm down with Wanda. I was like, whoa, well, look at you. So, you know, they started to introduce this kind of love connection between the Scarlet Witch and Vision in Civil War, which again, like, it doesn't matter, like, there are no stakes in Marvel movies, but in this one, it really felt like there were genuine stakes for this couple. I really liked that, well, first of all, I really liked that even though her accent isn't totally gone, it's very much kinda not there. She really toned down the accent. She has like a hint of the accent, which makes sense because, I mean, she's been spending so much time in the United States, and then here she is in Scotland, and so it would make sense that she's hearing all of these other things and whatnot, but I actually found myself really caring about the relationship between Wanda and the Vision. And I wanted them to, like, make it through and all this good stuff. And so, like, when the Black Order first, like, attacks to get the Mind Stone out of Vision, I was like, oh, well, you know, Wanda, she's either always, like, afraid to use her powers, or when she uses them, they're all unpredictable and crazy. But here, I was like, damn, Wanda, you're actually, like, holding your own and protecting Vision against this, like, outworld threat. And I mean, the Black Order, like, we'll talk about the Black Order later. The Black Order, they were pretty formidable. And so the fact that Wanda was even surviving and able to protect Vision for as long as she was, I was like, okay, dude, I believe it. I like the way that she was flying, but she wasn't quite flying. Like when she landed on the roof, you could tell, like, oh crap, she's not good at landing, but she was okay at it. And then everything with her in Wakanda, and the whole time she was, like, in Wakanda, I was right there with Okoye. I was like, you could really help out with your completely undefined powers. Like, the thing about the Scarlet Witch is, her powers are really undefined. In the comic books, she starts off as having, like, these hex bolts, and she can affect probability, and then turns out that she has, like, this cosmic power to, she can reach into, oh, what do they call it? They call it something very specific in the comics. Crap, my brain. Chaos magic. She's all about the chaos magic. She's fucking chaotic. She can just, like, bend reality to her fucking will. But in the movies, they really, like in my Age of Ultron review, I was saying, oh, well, she's not a mutant, and she's not an Inhuman, she just gets her powers from radiation from one of the Infinity Stones. It's kinda dumb. But it really does open her powers up to just being what the fuck ever. And so, like, that was cool, and through the whole movie, I was like, wow, what's Scarlet Witch gonna do? Because she really impressed me with her opening scene of, like, fighting off the Black Order and everything, and the whole time we were in Wakanda, I was like, yeah, I get it. You're the only one who actually can destroy the Mind Stone once we pull it out of Vision, etc. But you could really be helping out down there with your completely undefined powers that seem to just do whatever the plot needs them to. And then, like, whoop-de-doo, when she goes down and she does the amazing shit of taking those great big, like, 6 spinny blade majiggers and wipes out, like, half of the invading army, I was like, fuck yeah, it was amazing. And when Okoye said, why has she been up there the whole time? I was like, okay, like, okay. It was awesome. And at the very end, where it was fucking crunch time, and she had to destroy that stone out of Vision and kill Vision in turn, here comes Thanos. And she uses her powers on the glove, and she's the only one, pretty much, who was able to single-handedly fend off Thanos. And she's not even using her complete concentration, because her other hand is doing the shit to destroy Vision. And I was like, yes, Wanda, yes.
That was excellent.
And then, of course, like, she kills Vision, it's sad, day saved, but whoop-de-doo, Thanos has the Time Stone, and it's all for nothing. And then, so, after he did the snap, I was like, well, thank God that Wanda's still around, because she's the only one. Oh no, bitch is fading away into nothing. Of course, we can't have somebody so undefinably powerful in the next movie to like fix this all. So I thought that Wanda, the Scarlet Witch, was like rock'em sock'em. I was so impressed with her. I actually cared about her relationship with the Vision, which they haven't really spent a whole lot of time setting up, but it felt like, okay, we just missed some stuff, and now they're in love, get over it. And I was over it. I was like, okay, I believe you. Let's do it. So like Wanda, I was so impressed with her. I thought that every moment with her, they wrang everything they could out of that character, and it mattered, and it was totally worth it. So like Wanda, the Scarlet Witch, I'm here for it, bitch. Let's have more of her in the future. Like Doctor Strange, they've said that Wanda's powers are essentially magical. Whatever. And so she said that she hopes they don't do a single Scarlet Witch movie, but I would really like to see her like team up with Doctor Strange and like, you know, figure out how to hone her powers. It's really unrefined. She basically has magical powers like Doctor Strange, but she doesn't really know the ins and outs of magic. And so I would like to see so much more of her in the future, and I would like to see her kind of like go over to that villainous side that she loves to dip her toes in and sometimes dive right into. So like, I'm here for the Scarlet Witch. Now the Black Order. The problem with Justice League was that Steppenwolf was just this PlayStation 3 character who had motivations? Question mark? Not even. Like, his motivation is basically like put some shit together and fucking destroy the world, and you just have to kind of believe that he's got some grand purpose behind it. And so the Black Order, they're really no different, but they're not the real bad guy. What this movie did was it basically gave us like 4 or 5, I can never remember if it was exactly 4, I want to say it was 5, but it might have just been 4, because 2 of the Black Order, they looked very similar, and none of them, aside from like Ebony Maw, really spoke. Like, we got a few things from Proxima Midnight, who, by the way, Carrie Coon, like the leftovers, so like whatever, I'm glad she's getting work. And that's the real thing that I really wanted to like express to the world, was as soon as everybody started fading out of reality, I was like, holy shit, this turned into the leftovers like that. I was like, oh, the Marvel Universe just explained the Great Departure. It felt so much like the world of the leftovers, and I'll get to it later when I talk about how like children are involved or whatever. But it really did. It felt like the Great Departure. In the snap of a finger, so many people just went away. And like in the leftovers, it's only like 2% of the population, but here it was literally 50% of the population. It's fucking crazy. The Leftovers prequel movie is what I keep referring to this thing as. But, you know, we don't really know a lot about them, but they're not the end-all be-all. They're just faces for us to recognize and say, oh, those guys are fucking tough shit. Watch out for them. And they were pretty tough. I thought that the Black Order was actually, I was expecting them to be kind of disposable, and I felt like I was going to be pissed off if they all just got killed off because they were the disposable Steppenwolf villains, but I really wasn't. I felt like they contributed enough stakes and tension to the fights that they were in, and like a lot of them they won until it all came down in Wakanda. But yeah, for the most part I was like, meh, you're fine. And then they served their purpose, which was to up the stakes and up the ante and give us these super powerful and super strong beings that were a threat. And I feel like they did that very well, even though like we kind of got to know Ebony Maw a little bit. Like, he had this kind of this hubris about him, and he had this he really had like a lot of self-esteem. He was like, I've never failed Thanos, and I'm not gonna let today be the time that I do, so you come with me, bitch. So I liked what they did. I didn't think that they were incredibly intriguing for any like length of time, but I felt like they were formidable, and that's really all that they were supposed to be there to do. So, like, the Black Order, they mostly succeed in that. So when the movie opens up and we have the whole, like, Thanos coming upon the Asgardian refugees, it kind of took me out at first when the Hulk and Thanos were duking it out. I was like, we've got two completely CGI characters and they're just duking it out, whatever. But they completely do away with that from the top. They say, no, he's stronger than the Hulk, and the Hulk doesn't come back for the rest of the fucking movie. And I was really kind of on the fence about this whole Bruce and the Hulk and their kind of conflict with one another. But what I was thinking is that, okay, so Thanos and the Hulk, they're kind of the same size. And we've been told that, like, Ragnarok, Infinity War, and Avengers 4 are kind of 3-movie arc structure for the Hulk. And so my thought is, in the 4th movie, what could very well happen is that, like, Bruce and the Hulk can kind of, like, share a cognizance and, like, share a consciousness, so that we can finally get, like, talking Hulk with his Bruce Banner cognition within the Hulk body. And maybe, like, because the Infinity Gauntlet, it fits Thanos, and like I said, like, the Hulk pretty much is the same size, and so I would think if the Gauntlet can fit on any person, maybe the Hulk could fit his hand into it, but with his Bruce Banner brain, put reality back. Like, that's my big thought about, like, where we could go with the whole thing. And I'd be, like, super satisfied if that's the way that it worked, because we do need more for Bruce Banner and the Hulk. They're pretty much just around, and it's really hard for me to care about either of those characters, because the Hulk, like, people like watching the Hulk and watching what the Hulk can do, but I don't think anybody super fucking cares about the Hulk. And Bruce Banner, he kind of just seems like a whiny bitch the whole time. So if they were able to kind of reconcile those two characters into one being, I'd be really impressed with that, if they could actually pull that off narratively with number 4. And so, like, that's my big kind of prediction, is that Bruce Banner as the Hulk will actually be able to fit the gauntlet on and fix reality back. That would be really neat. So I would like to see that, and while I wasn't really pleased with the whole, like, back and forth and how the Hulk wouldn't come out, I mean, people are saying, oh, well, the Hulk was so scared of Thanos. But I'm like, that's never really explained, and it was kind of whatever. And it was kind of a letdown, because in the trailer we get this big thing of, like, the Hulk running with everybody else in Wakanda. So, whatever.
I tired of that one quickly.
Thor and Rocket and Teenage Groot were so much fun. It was so much fun. I really like when... And one thing is, I completely forget that Bradley Cooper voices Rocket Raccoon, because to me he doesn't sound anything like Bradley Cooper, and so it kind of takes away from the fact that, like, Bradley Cooper is voicing Rocket. I feel like anybody could be voicing Rocket, but I really did like when Rocket was trying to sit down with Thor and say, let's talk about all the people in your family that are dead. His mother's dead. His brother just died. His father died. He had to, like, try and murder his sister. I don't think Hela's super dead. Anyway, and plus, like, half of his Asgardian family that were all refugees from the Asgard that doesn't fucking exist anymore just got super murdered. We don't know where Valkyrie is, but I'm not super worried about her either. And so, like, I really liked that moment, or that conversation between Rocket and Thor really opening up, because, you know, he's a big brute, but he's kind of a sensitive dude. And we really got to see Chris Hemsworth as Thor kind of run the gamut of emotions throughout this movie. It was kind of boring, the whole, we're gonna go and build the Stormbreaker. Like, it was fine. But the thing that really pulled me out of the movie completely, it completely pulled me out of the movie, was giant dwarf Peter Dinklage. To me, it felt tacky. it felt like a gimmick, and it felt like it was just so inside baseball and so gimmicky that it really ripped me out of the movie. It felt like, oh, I get it, because we all know that Peter Dinklage is a little person, and like, here he is, he's a giant. It really pulled me out of the movie, and I don't want to say that it's distasteful, but it really did seem very tacky and gimmicky. Which kind of goes into the distasteful, but that's just me. It goes back to the whole, like, X-Men Days of Future Past problem, which is they never actually commented on the fact that Bolivar Trask was a little person. It's so fucking obvious. I felt like they could have really gone somewhere with that, and I kind of took it as the reason that Bolivar Trask is so anti-mutant is because he's been an outsider his whole life, being a little person, and these are these people who are even more outside of humanity. Like, at least he's still human. I feel like that's why he had a real grudge against the mutants, because he could finally feel like part of the human race. And they never address it. They just kind of say, oh, isn't it great that this little person isn't being called a little person? But no, you have to explore that. You have to really give weight and reverence to the fact that this character is a little person. And it completely undermined what I felt like would have been a great motivation for him. And I know I'm talking about Days of Future Past, but to me, it's like, imagine spending your whole life, like as a gay man, and I haven't spent my whole life, but I spent like my adult life dealing with the fact that people look at me differently because I am a queer individual. And for Bolivar Trask, he has literally spent his whole life being marginalized and subjugated by humanity writ large. And here is this entire group of people, and they're not even human. They're so different. And so it just, again, like, giant Peter Dinklage, it really pulled me out of the movie, and it made me really give the movie the side eye. I was like, it's kind of tacky. But that's the worst thing that I have to say about Thor's whole story. The fucking, oh my god, when Groot wraps his Grooty arm around Stormbreaker and chops his arm off so that it'll have a handle to save Thor's life, I was like, holy shit, that's fucking, like, that's the tits. Oh shit, it was amazing. I really like that moment. And then when they all come back and Thor is just like zzz, chilling, like taking out the rest of the army, it was amazing. It's like, oh yeah, a god, a literal god is on our team. It was Rock'em Sock'em. And speaking of Rock'em Sock'em, when Bucky picked up Rocket Raccoon and they just like spun around and both shot, it was awesome. I really did like Rocket. I like that he gave Thor this eye so that we didn't have to deal with the fucking eye patch situation. It's like, technically he's still a one-eyed man, but I really liked that whole dynamic between Thor and Groot and Tree and the rabbit. The rabbit jokes, every time they came I was like, it's a little cheap, but I like it. It really did work for me. And that's the thing, like the Marvel movies, they're so like, nothing fucking matters, and this one, it felt like, hey, this matters. And now by the end of the movie, like, okay, so when they all start vaporizing and dying, I was like, oh shit. Especially when Wanda, like, bit it. I was like, oh, we're fucked. She was the only one that could actually do anything to the Infinity Stones. But when Black Panther started turning all to dust, I was like, oh, once again, none of this matters. None of it matters, because we know they're not going to kill Black Panther. And then when they killed Peter at the, like, close to the very end, I was like, none of this matters. They're all coming back.
Looks like you've wasted my time.
But even though it doesn't matter, it's so, like, fascinating to watch all of these characters go through that. And when I left the movie theater and when I got home, I was thinking about it. I was like, none of this matters. But then the next day I was like, it was still fun. It was good. And it was, you know, so crazy to see Tony feel so guilty about Peter's death. Like, he brought him into this whole situation. Way back in Civil War, he was like, hey dude, wanna come play with the grown-ups? Only, meh, you can't play with the grown-ups. And here it is, it's like, oh, you can't play with the grown-ups, but you are, and oh fuck, you're dead.
I'll be good.
So I liked all of that. The Tony stuff, like Iron Man's never really been my favorite character. I don't know that I really have a favorite character in the Marvel universe because again, they're just kind of interchangeable to me. It's a whole thing. But I did like that Tony was really affected by the events of the Avengers, like the original Avengers movie, and that he had gone out of his way to like super plan for this greater attack on Earth. And I liked how much responsibility he felt for everything that was going on, and I liked that he and Doctor Strange and that he and Peter Quill really didn't see eye to eye on things, but they were willing to kind of put things aside and work out like a fucking plan. But overall, like, Iron Man, he was there. I felt like it was super convenient, some of his nanotech stuff that he was doing, like just changing his suit into like what the heck ever for what the heck ever it needed to be. But at the same time, like, it was satisfying. It was nice to see that Tony really had been like working up his stuff all of these years, and the way that Thanos just like kicked him in the balls emotionally, I was like, oh crap, yeah, you suck.
The worst! She's the worst person in the world.
And Doctor Strange, let's talk about fucking Doctor Strange. When he did the I've got all these fucking arms, I was like, holy shit! And then when he made all of the Doctor Stranges and he used the crimson bands of what the fuck ever, I was like, holy crap. This is why people love Doctor Strange. This is why people really love magic. Like, you know me, I'm all about some like magic in my Buffyverse. And Doctor Strange showed out. When he was like, oh, I'm just like randomly going through 14 million possibilities, I was like, oh shit, that time stone's fucking cool. Yeah, and so Doctor Strange and Wong, the portal opening, and Spider-Man being like, magic, magic, that's exactly what I would do. Whenever I'm at a red light, I'm like, magic. So, oh gosh, it was so much fun. This movie was so much fun. And the stuff from the trailers, like again, they cheated us again with the trailers. Like, the whole thing where they're on Titan and Spider-Man's like flipping around, trying to save everybody and like get everybody netted up and in the webs, and he's like, sorry, I don't know your name, but it was super cool. And in the trailer they just show him like dodging all this stuff, but really it's like him keeping Mantis like from dying and shit. I thought it was super cool. And Spider-Man, I thought that they handled Peter Parker really well. I liked Homecoming. That's a movie I liked. I liked Ragnarok. That's a movie I liked. But yeah, here having Peter in the bus, and he's like, hey dude, create a distraction because I gotta fucking go. I felt like they handled Peter really well, and at the end when Peter's dying, at first I was like, it's taken you a really long time to fade away into nothingness, but then I was like, the next day I thought, oh god, half of the universe, like half of intelligent life means half of everybody. And what I feel like Peter is there to really underscore is that children, billions of children died in this event. And the more I think about that, it's ridiculous. It's so frightening. Like, we always think about the superheroes and we think about the grown-ups in this world, and we don't really think about the fact that children are in the middle of all of this. And as someone who has a recently 4-year-old nephew, it really hit me like, oh god. It's like what Sandy Hook did to culture in America. When it comes to real defenseless children, and even though Peter Parker is not a defenseless child, he is at the end of the day a child. And when you think about the global scale of this, people just lost billions of children, and it's heartbreaking, and it really does hammer home the idea that this matters.
A girl could die.
It may not matter in the grander scheme of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because we know that like all these, like most of these people who died are going to be brought back, but it matters to the people within that universe. And so it was really just powerful, and he was like freaking out and stuff. And so, like, Peter, good job. Gamora, let's talk about Gamora. I mean, first of all, when somebody like reveals to you that the villain has to sacrifice what they love and you start laughing about them, about how they don't love anything, like, watch your fucking back. Gamora, I really liked what was at stake for her emotionally. When she thought that she had murdered Thanos, even though she claims to hate him, you could tell, like, just because he's not her real father doesn't mean he didn't raise her. And even though she left his whole thing because she felt like he was turning her into a monster and that he basically, like, abandoned her when things went wrong for her, it says so much about who your parents are and about, like, who your family is. So many of us have to kind of, like, create a family of our own because our own families don't accept us or whatever. And the fact is, Thanos, for most of her life, was all she knew. And so when she killed him and she was really, like, grieving over him, I was like, oh yeah, because it's your dad. And then, like, whoop-de-doo, psych! and like, you know, it was all done with the reality gem. And one thing I will say is, I kept thinking, okay, there's a stone that literally controls reality. Couldn't you have just done that to remove, or used that to remove half the intelligent life in the universe? I mean, it's literally called the Reality Stone. We can change reality. You don't need time to change reality right now. You don't need the mind to change reality right now. You don't need the soul to change reality right now. You don't need the space thing to change reality right now, or the soul. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Or like power, I guess that's the one I left off. It doesn't make any sense. The Reality Stone should be able to do everything Thanos wanted to do. It doesn't make any fucking sense to me why. I mean, sure, he might have had to go around to each individual planet and, like, change the channel on reality, but it beats, I don't know, it just didn't make a shit ton of sense. But anyway, whatever, Thanos isn't dead, totally captures Gamora, the thing with Peter not being able to kill her, so sad, and then, like, whoop-de-doo, he totally, like, got her, and then the Red Skull reveal was super exciting. I never actually watched Captain America: The First Avenger. I've never really cared about Captain America. When Captain America showed up after he caught the spear or what the heck ever, people in my theater were clapping, and I'm sitting here like, I don't understand why people clap for this motherfucker, because what, like, who is he? I know he's like the Boy Scout or what the heck ever, but that's pretty much the extent of his personality. I don't care about him. I don't even know how to like him. Like, sure, he's a stand-up, swell guy. Like, what else is there to him? His, like, man crush on Bucky? Like, just do it already. Anyway, so I don't care about Captain America, like, fucking whatever. But yeah, when Red Skull showed up, I was like, oh, neat. That was neat. And, like, Gamora dies, and when Thanos was dragging her to the end of the cliff, or like to the edge of the cliff rather, and she, like, there was no sound, but you could see she was like, no, no. Oh, I was like, oh, you poor thing. And then she died. Like, spoiler alert, she'll probably be back. I don't know though, with those Avatar movies she's got to make. I don't care. But yeah, Gamora, she was like standout for this movie. She really got me. I cared about what was going on with her. The whole thing with, like, torturing Nebula in front of her. She was like, oh, fuck. This is why I told them to kill me, because I can't deal with this shit. I don't even like her, but I love her. I don't even like Thanos, but I love him. And it's the thing. It's the thing about family. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The thing about having a sibling is they're the only people in the world who deserve to hate you because they've had to spend their entire lives loving you. And it's shitty, but, like, that's life. And so, like, it was good. Who else is in this movie? Falcon's in this movie. He got to fly around and do some stuff, like, good for you. War Machine's in this movie. He put on a good show in Wakanda when he was, like, blowing shit up all over the place. I was like, okay. His stuff with Thunderbolt Ross was interesting, and I felt like it was supposed to be this big reveal that he was a hologram, but, I mean, he was obviously a hologram. And, you know, I go to the movies alone. I go to see movies alone because otherwise I'll be talking all through them and that's annoying. So I sat next to this couple, and all they did through the whole movie was talk about shit. In this particular instance, the girlfriend was like, oh, that's a hologram. And I'm sitting over here like, fucking duh. You didn't have to say that. This is why I go to the movies fucking alone.
Wake up.
So War Machine and Falcon, they were there. Bucky was there. And I like seeing him with the one arm. I thought that was neat. But like, I don't really care about him either. Who else was in this movie? Shuri. She was showing out in this movie. She was like, why didn't you do this and that and this and that with the Vision? And you know, when it comes to Vision, I was thinking about Captain Marvel, and I was like, oh yeah, she's so powerful. Captain Marvel is the most powerful one on the team. Like, she's super strong, she can fly. Like, think about Rogue from the 90s X-Men cartoon. Like, she can do all those things except for the power absorption. Yeah, she can fly, she can breathe in outer space, and she can, like, shoot beams from her fucking hands. And I was like, oh, she's like the Superman of the team. And then I thought, oh wait, Vision is the Superman of the team.
I don't give a damn.
And they fucked Vision all the heck up. And, like, but at the same time, because of Wanda and their relationship, I wanted him to make it. And so when Shuri was like pulling out all the stops to try and like fix Vision, like remove the stone so Wanda could destroy it, I was like, alright, Shuri, you're super smart. And then when the Black Order came in and she was like handling it for a second, I was impressed. And I've heard that there's gonna be like a 5-year gap between Avengers Infinity War and Avengers 4. Like, we're gonna pick up 5 years after. I don't know if that's true, but I think it would be interesting. And in that 5 years, I think that Shuri should be the new Black Panther. I think they could have raised the stakes even more if when Black Panther turned to dust, that they had shown us Angela Bassett turning to dust as well. So like the Queen Mother and the King are both dead, and that leaves Shuri in this like super responsible role. And so I think that she will be the acting queen of Wakanda, and I would really like to see her be the new incarnation of the Black Panther. They might give it to M'Baku, but I don't think so. I think that Shuri should be the interim Black Panther until like reality fixes its fucking self. But yeah, I was impressed with her. She didn't have a lot to do, but she was there. Okoye, she's funny. Like Denai Guerrera, she's just funny. Like when when the Scarlet Witch came down and Okoye was like, why she been up there the whole time? I was like, right? And then when she and Black Widow and the Scarlet Witch were all kind of squared off against Proxima Midnight, at first I was like, girl power. But then I was like, it's still cool because I like Okoye, so whatever. Oh yeah, Black Widow was in this movie. Also, Captain America was in this movie. Black Panther was in this movie. And they didn't do a lot. Ooh, everybody was so excited about Captain America and Black Panther running out in front of everybody. They're so fast. I don't care. I don't care about Captain America. And they had so little to do in this movie. Black Panther, Captain America, the Black Widow, fucking War Machine and Falcon, they had nothing to do in this movie except fight in the final battle. And this was the only Avengers movie when I've been like, why is Black Widow even here?
I'll even be dull, boring. Cross my heart.
Why is she even here? And her hair looked terrible. When the Winter Soldier has better hair than you do, there's a problem. But yeah, dude, it was a super fun time at the movies. Like when they were all on Titan. Oh, first of all, let's talk about Drax being invisible. That shit cracked me up. Like, first of all, when they introduced the Guardians and it just says space, I was like, that's funny. And it's so Guardians. I really like the way that they kind of played off of all of that. And again, I enjoyed Guardians 2 much more than I did Guardians 1, and I seem to be in the minority on that. But again, it felt like there was an actual story there. And the first one just felt like a generic, like, Dirty Dozen movie. Like, I don't fucking care about the first one. It was just like a video game. But yeah, I liked Drax, and even though he's kind of the comedy mule, I could totally forgive it. And Mantis, we kick names and take ass. come on now. That's some funny shit. And the fact that they actually gave them things to do, they gave Drax that moment where he wanted to go after Thanos for, like, being responsible for the murder of his fucking family. And then the fact that Mantis was able to actually sedate Thanos. I was like, oh, everybody's getting, like, a good use of their abilities. Like, nobody's really wasted. It was a good time at the movies, man. It was a really good time at the movies. Even though it was like 2.5 hours and I was so ready to pee. Like, I was here for it. So then, of course, like, the credits start rolling and I ran out of the theater to go pee. And then I came back in and I sat down, like, in the front. And it was taking forever and ever and ever. And I was like, oh, there's gonna be a massive exodus when I get up. So anyway, so I got up and I kind of, like, stood on the, like, you know, in the corridor to go out. And suddenly I heard this weeping through the credits. I look and there are these two girls, like max 14 years old, weeping, like audibly weeping, sobbing, looking at each other like, I just can't stop. And I'm sitting over here like, it's just a movie, dude. And you know they're not gonna kill Black Panther and they're not going to kill, Spider-Man. Like, spoiler alert, you can't kill your big fucking money makers. Spoiler alert! And so I'm just sitting here looking at these girls like, come on now, get real. But you know what? I'll bet that there were children all over the world this weekend that were actually crying because they don't understand what fiction is. So anyway, I was super annoyed with that shit. And then the post-credits scene when we get Maria Hill and Nick Fury and like whoop-de-fucking-do, they got vaporized too, but right at the last minute, he calls Miss Captain Marvel, and like I'm excited to see Captain Marvel. I've been a fan of Brie Larson since she was on United States of Terror back in the day. She was so spunky and fun, and I never did see Room. I need to watch Room. But yeah, I like her, and like she's really funny on like the Craig Ferguson interviews that she did with him. She's a good sport, and so like I was like, all right, but bye. And yeah, like, bye, that's pretty much my thoughts on the movie. It was so much fun, and it's one of those where, like, I know, like, none of the deaths really matter, but at the same time, I had a good time. It was a great ride, and I enjoyed Thanos. I didn't even talk about Thanos. Thanos, he's got this whole kind of utilitarian idea of the world. It's like, preserve the resources so that the whole universe can thrive or whatever. And I'm like, okay, whatever. But they really did make me want him to win. And that's the thing. I wanted him to win, and I expected him to win. And he did. And so, like, that was super satisfying because, you know, these Marvel movies, they always wrap them up so neatly and completely. And sure, you get the little post-credit scenes or whatever as, like, stingers. Like, oh, it's not all wrapped up. But yeah, this one was like, yeah, we wrapped it up, alright, by destroying half the fucking universe. Bye. It was great. I liked the villain for a change. I really liked him. I kind of liked Hela, but she was kind of so campy that you couldn't quite take her seriously. But like, I like my campy villains. I like some camp. I'm not like super campy, but the Hela camp was really fun. And that whole movie was really fun in Ragnarok. But yeah, they didn't do the whole, like, Mistress Death, and a lot of us were thinking that it was going to be Hela kind of playing the part of Mistress Death in a, like, roundabout kind of way. But no, that wasn't the case. He just really, like, saw a greater vision for the universe, and he went out and grabbed it by the gauntlet. It was super cool. I really liked when he just ripped that stone out of Vision's head, and he just crumbled. I was like, oh, fuck. But yeah, dude. Scarlet Witch Wanda, she's my MVP. I thought that she was rock'em sock'em. And that's our spoiler discussion. Be sure to let me know what you thought of Avengers Infinity War in the comment section down below, Planet Earth. I'm Preston L. Young, and you can come right back here to the Buffyngton Post anytime for Buffy the Vampire Slayer reviews, Angel and Faith reviews, Angel and Frederia Cruising Through Time reviews, more Westworld reviews. I watched last night, too. I'm still not digging Westworld Season 2. I'm just not here for it. It's... But yeah, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and as always, question. Have yourself a great day today, and we'll see you next time.